Hello everyone, my name is Chinenye Ndulue and I'm presenting a research titled PHISHER Crush, a mobile persuasive game for promoting online security. This research was carried out by I and Dr. Rita Orji from the Faculty of Computer Science in Dalhousie University. In simple terms, our research entails the design, implementation, and heuristic evaluation of a persuasive game that can potentially promote safe behaviors of humans on the internet with regards to phishing. Now, let's begin with the problem. Internet security and cyber attacks have become very crucial technological issues in recent times due to the shift of most human activities to the internet. One very significant cyber threat of note is phishing. Phishing mostly involves the use of spoof or dubious emails and links to trick unsuspecting internet users to divulge their personal information. Personal informations like usernames, passwords, or users' financial information can be stolen and used for criminal purposes like identity theft, financial theft, and other fraudulent purposes. Phishing is a very serious problem in the cyber world of recent times, as Symantec in 2017 reported it to be the number one cyber infection vector. Webroot also reported that nearly 1.5 million new phishing sites are created every month, and Cisco Systems also classifies it as an increasingly common cyber threat. Now, phishing is unique because, unlike other modes of cyber attack, it employs a semantic mode of attack. This simply means that instead of manipulating system resources directly, like Trojan horses and worms, phishing involves manipulating humans and their internet behaviors and their reactions to stimuli presented by the attacker through the victim's computer. Therefore, an effective way to curb this menace would be to develop an intervention that would promote safer internet behaviors of internet users. And this brings us to our proposed solution. We propose a persuasive game that can motivate users to identify phishing links and email addresses by site, titled Fisher Crush. Our methodology for this research is simple. First, we developed the game by employing some known effective persuasive strategies from previous research. Then, we ran a heuristic analysis to evaluate the playability and perceived persuasiveness of the game. Now, I'll briefly explain the game. Fisher Crush is a simple memory matchup game. It was modeled after popular matchup games like Candy Crush and Remembery. When the game begins, phishing links and non-malicious links are randomly loaded behind the icon buttons on the game screen, as shown in the figure. The primary task of the player is to match pairs of correct hyperlinks or email addresses. Links can be exposed by clicking on the icons arranged on the screen. Players decide whether the two links match or not. Players are also rewarded with points and badges for correct pairings, while they lose points for incorrect pairings. We employed various persuasive strategies like rewards in form of badges and points, learning in form of pre-game tutorials, prizes for completing tutorials, prizes for correct matches and level completions, and feedbacks in form of answers to the status of the links presented to the users. After developing the game, we performed two kinds of heuristic evaluations on the game. First, we ran the heuristic for evaluation of playability, in which we tested four different variables, namely gameplay, game story, techniques, and usability. Then we ran a persuasive strategy evaluation, in which we tested for the perceived presence of six persuasive strategies in the game. To perform these evaluations, we recruited four persuasive technology stakeholders. They played the game for 20 minutes and rated the occurrences of each variables under the heuristics for evaluating playability and the presence of the implemented persuasive strategies. These variables and strategies were rated on a 5-point Likert scale. Our results showed that five of the six persuasive strategies implemented were strongly present in the game, while feedback was not strongly present as it scored below the midpoint. The evaluators pointed out that the feedback implementations in the game were too static and not dynamic enough for a gameful intervention. The strong presence of five persuasive strategies out of six implemented proves that the game was perceived as strongly persuasive by the evaluators. Our results also showed that the game was highly playable, as all the variables under the heuristics for evaluation of playability showed mean scores that were well above the midpoint. The evaluators also pointed out some design suggestions for persuasive game development, and I will highlight a few of them. They recommended that persuasive game concepts be made simple and easy to understand. This is to reduce the cognitive load on the player when playing a persuasive game. Since complex games require more cognitive power, players may be more focused on overcoming the game's difficult challenges with little or no cognitive focus on subtle persuasion going on in the game. Therefore, it's important that games be made as simple as it can be made. Also, making simple game concepts prevents most players from getting frustrated with the game. They also suggested that persuasive games employ praises for players irrespective of whether the player is winning or losing. In Pisha Crush, we only praised the player when he completes a level, when he makes a good match, or completes a tutorial. Now, there is a need to also encourage players for making attempts, even when they lose or make a wrong match. This would cause the player to feel more motivated to play the games and not feel rejected. They also suggested that persuasive games employ the use of dynamic real-time tips and tutorials to improve play experience. In Pisha Crush, we had a complete tutorial of the game in the beginning of gameplay. While this is adequate, it is not the optimal way of presenting game tutorials. Since humans tend to forget information when they are loaded with a huge quantity of it over a short time span, it is more optimal to provide game tips and instructions during and within gameplay instead of before gameplay. This prevents the player from trying to memorize any of the game information and also to make the gameplay feel more natural. To conclude, we presented the design, implementation, and heuristic evaluation of a persuasive game for promoting online security. The result of the heuristic and persuasiveness evaluation showed that the game was highly persuasive and playable. Hence, it is expected to be effective at achieving the desired behavior change in users' online practices. Potential future work directions include improving the game based on the design suggestions of evaluators to make a more balanced, persuasive game, evaluating the game in the wild among potential internet users to test the external validity of our findings, and we also plan to extend the game to account for other online security threats apart from phishing. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation and see you all some other time. Bye.